Scottish football, Jesus.
Huh? Huh? Huh?
Hello if you're new to the channel, and alright to those that are not. How are you doing? My name is Kikazi and welcome back to the channel. It is a pretty dreary come down after the game at the weekend. There's no midweek game, so I'm not constantly having to just go from one game to the next. I actually have time to sit and process it, and I've not made a video in a while, so I figured I might as well change that and kind of talk about some things that have happened over the last few weeks. I was meant to make a video at the end of January to talk about our transfers, but we kind of know what happened. It was quite sad. We didn't really buy anyone, and it's quite clearly bit us in the ass, and we'll touch on that later on. But to kick off with, VAR. Yes, we love it, man. We absolutely love it. It's one of the best things we've ever had in this league. It's an absolute blessing to have, and everything about it is great. So essentially, we lost to Hearts because of two very fucked up decisions. That's the nicest way I can put it. Now, before anything, Hearts deserve to win, right? I am not slating Hearts. They took advantage of what happened. They deserved the result from it. I am not shitting on Hearts in any way, shape or form. However, they're diving bastards. Cochrane was not fouled to the point where it was a red card offence. The yellow card was a right call on Yang. That's what it should have been. I'll touch on that later. There was a call at the start of the game that was in our favour, which was also exceptionally soft, which VAR took about a minute and a half to get wrong, I suppose. But they went to VAR, gave the penalty, Ida misses it, it is what it is, game carries on, and about 10 minutes later, Yang goes in with a high foot challenge. Now that's what it's gone down as. However, what I would put it down as is, Yang was already in the air, he was already going to claim the ball, and Cochrane seen him and went, I can get him a call out of this. And he just ran in, because he knew he was going to take contact, and honestly it's smart for him, because he knows that the referees will probably not trust their own decision, and sure enough that's what happens. Yang grazes Cochrane's face, he goes down like he's been shot by an M13 Barrett, and we essentially stand there for 10 minutes while the referee figures out if he wants to VAR it or not. Initially, like I said, yellow card offence, they go to VAR and eventually they overturn it for a red. Now that was bad enough, but about 20-30 minutes later it happens again. There's just a completely stupid decision. It takes way too long for the wrong call, this time being a handball on Iwata. Now if it was a clear and obvious handball, I would not be talking about it, I would have just moved on. However, what had happened was Iwata was facing away from the ball, no intention of being near it, body's in a natural position, he's just been shoved, the ball comes off of a deflected player. So there's about 6 or 7 factors at play that say he can't do much about this, and yet after 5 minutes of VAR review they decide, hey, it's a penalty. Hearts take advantage of it, like I said, Grant puts it away, a very clean, composed penalty, and after that it was really hard for Celtic to get back into the game. We had chances, but Hearts was simply on the day just the better side with that extra man advantage, and Shankland's second goal, which was a very lovely finish by the way, take nothing away from that, was enough to basically put the game to bed. Celtic couldn't really get back into it, and that was that. 24 hours previously we were kind of let off because Rangers did not manage to get the win against Motherwell. In fact, they lost to Motherwell. I was expecting it to kind of be either a scrappy win or a draw. It ended up being a loss for them, which surprised me, and VAR was also a big factor in that game. Rangers fans ain't very happy about it either, because like us, they had a handball call that really could have been validated as a penalty, and in fact was much more of a penalty claim than the one that we got against us. So it brings up the question of consistency, because simply put, there is none. The referees just decide what they want to do on the day, and it seems like it changes week to week. Now I understand that different referees have different leniencies and different tendencies and different things that they do to make their game their game. I understand that. Referees like Greg Beaton, for instance, are a lot more lenient with how they let games go when you have referees like Don Robertson, I should say, that are a lot more strict and will basically foul anything that's given. So there's that, I suppose. But yeah, essentially what I'm putting down to this is VAR. It's a bit of a bastard. This will now cut to a segment where I talk to some people in my Discord about it. You can also do that if you would like to. Subscribe, that's one thing you should do first, and then you can obviously join the Discord, and you're more than welcome to take part in these future things if I ever decide to do them in future videos. So yeah, let me cut to that now. Alright, community part of the thing. There was meant to be more people, however some microphones were a bit scuffed, so we've only got the one today. He's been on the channel before, you know him well. He's also one of the more reliable mods if you've been there for most of the live chats. But to join me for this conversation, it's the one and only Flash. How you doing, my boy?
Hello, I'm doing good.
Let's just cut straight in here because obviously this video is probably going to drag on by the time it gets to this segment, and there's still a lot to cover after it as well, but nonetheless. VAR. Now, we watched the game together. Obviously, I fell sick during the stream, so we both kind of witnessed the shit show in unison, sadly. But it's not been just that game. VAR's been an issue for not just Celtic, but the entire league as a whole for basically the entire majority of the time since it's been introduced. Now, you've been one of the more kind of out-voiced people in the community, especially in the chats during the live streams when it comes to your opinions on VAR, so I think it would make sense to just let you do your thing and ramble on. But if you were to summarise it, what's your opinion on VAR in Scotland as it stands right now?
To sum it up in one word, it's a shit show. Quite frank. My opinion on VAR will never change until we actually get some decent refs, because I've always believed that the game's better off with VAR, but I also believe that with VAR, it's not actually the technology's fault, it's the officials.
See, this is what I wanted to kind of touch on, because one of the things that I mentioned in the previous segment is the consistency levels have been absolutely fucking diabolical, to put it in the nicest way possible. Because one of the points that I haven't really even brought up yet, but I'd bring up to you, because again, you were there to witness it live when it happened. But Maeda had a similar challenge in the Dundee game where he got studied, very similarly how Yang studied Cochrane. And yet, Maeda's challenge never resulted in anything. There was no yellow card, no red card, not even a VAR check on the Dundee player. But in the Hearts game, because it's a much more, watched tie, so to speak, they take the time to actually, look at the system, and even though the slow motion replays don't really make it look all that great, there's still not a lot of contact there to justify overturning the yellow to a red. And then obviously half an hour later they make the wrong decision again when they make the handball call against Awata. And even for us at the start of the game, like I mentioned in the previous segment, Ida got a penalty that he missed, but it came from a circumstance where the penalty was way too soft in most people's eyes, including Celtic fans. And it's not just been this game.
Including my eyes, because originally you thought it was a penalty until you looked back, but you heard me, and people can watch the VOD live, by the way, if you go to the live section, because there's the VOD for the stream. I literally said, that's not a penalty.
And it's
as it happened.
It's a consistent theme in this league though, where the rules tend to change depending on the severity of the game. Like, if it's a very major affair like an Old Firm or whatever, they'll do their best to try and make it as fair as possible, and even then it still results in the occasional weird decision that both sets of fans kind of look at and go, that doesn't make sense. And I mean, a good example, if you go back to like at the start of the season, we've had a couple of issues, especially in like cup games. The cup game against Kelly, the Haskabanovic foul that should have been a penalty, that wasn't given, and everyone at the time was like, oh, it's because there wasn't enough contact. But that exact type of foul has been what most penalties in this stage of the season have been given for. Very minimal contact, very minimal kind of ball pressure, and yet if a player goes down because of the severity and the kind of neediness of the win in a situation, especially in the latter stages of the season when you've got teams trying to lock in battles for the top six or for Europe, or if you're Celtic or Rangers, the title, and it's not even your players that can make those decisions to win the games. Half the time it's the referees, and that's happened for us a couple of times this season where one really weird call completely derails the momentum that we've built to that point. And again, it's not just Celtic that it's happened to. Rangers have had a couple of calls that have been very, very weird to look at. Aberdeen have had multiple. I mean, Hearts have had a couple go for and against them at this point as well. So it's not as if they're just getting all the decisions their way either. Every team has struggled with the VAR system changing its decision based on what it needs to do in the moment rather than what its set role should be. And I get that referees have different leniencies and all that stuff, but it's just really frustrating that they can't just have a consistent level where there is a certain amount of contact required for a foul to be overturned, but they just kind of, again, if it's like a St Johnstone v St Mirren, they won't really care. But if it's a St Johnstone versus Celtic and it's on Sky Sports, they'll VAR it almost 9 times out of 10.
I 100% agree with you. It's it just infuriates me when especially, and I'll get on to it, because after the penalty, which by the way we missed, and I'm sorry, I had a bud, it was a fucking poor penalty.
Very much true, but that's my point. I think VAR's made the game a little too soft to the point where there's a lot of players in this league that can't be as physical as they want to be. Like, I mean, defenders must have it bad, man. Like, they have it terrible because they can't so much as
ruining the game of football, but
like
I am not enjoying watching football anymore. Slowly, I have the love and passion. I still go to the games. I still have my team. This VAR though is literally slowly killing football. I've had to stop watching some Premier League teams, apart from my own, and those that have been on the channel know who that is, or in the Discord. It's stopped me from watching most Premier League games because they're just as bad.
If you could not tell, we're not very happy about it, but it's not just Celtic fans that feel that way. There's a lot of fans from basically every level of team from most teams that have had to deal with VAR in Scotland. Not many have agreed with the use of it in at least most of its methods. So to kind of summarise, VAR is a fucking joke, and it needs to be at least rebuilt in a way that makes sense. Get some people in that are specialists with that specific tech so that minimal mistakes are made, and that when that communication goes through to the referee, it's clear. It's abundantly clear.
It's like, if this is the best Scotland has to offer in terms of where to go with the technology, it needs to just be shoved in the bin, or actually invest in some people from overseas to not just help in a way, but give some education into what's right and wrong.
Well, that basically summarises everything we need to kind of cover for this little segment, but yeah, I mean, I don't think I could have really put it any better myself, to be honest with you. So if you're curious, if you're still watching at this point, you're more than welcome to go down in the description. You'll find his links to his channels and stuff that he's got. He's got one on YouTube, obviously, the one that you kind of see him use in our chats, and also his Twitch as well, if you want to go and give that a follow. He's kind of pushing close to, is it 400?
On Twitch?
Yeah.
We are close. On Twitch, we are close to hitting 400, yes. We are 25 off.
So if 25 of you can be arsed, please take a gander over to Twitch if you have an account, and please give him a follow. It's the best thing you can do. That covers the little community segment. If you want to be in this little segment and videos going forward, you can, again, join the Discord and you'll be notified when we're doing it. Of course, this one was the first one, so it's obviously going to have a couple of snags. People didn't have mics that were of the best quality, but at least we got someone that you know very well at the very least. But if you want to feature going forward, this is the place to do it. So thank you to Flash. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you, brother. Again, go and give him a follow, and that covers that little segment. Back to future me when he's done editing this segment. We nearly fucked it to Livingston, by the way. No one also told me that the editing process was going to take 2 days to get to this point, but hi, hello. It's a couple of days after the cup game. Celtic won, we won 4-2, however, with the theme of this video, VAR was a big fucking factor in that. There was a lot of decisions that did not come out as clear cut until a couple of replays were shown about 5 or 6 minutes later. The prime example in that game was the Maeda offside. In real time it looked off, the first camera angles they showed looked off, they give the goal, everyone's confused, and then they show the actual correct angles 5 minutes later where they show the lines and he's completely on and fine, and you're like, well, what the fuck? Livingston had the same thing happen to them for their goals. We also had at the end of game goal as well with Kyogo. That one was checked as well. It was a very prominent thing in that game for how shit it was, to be honest with you, but we kind of made it through. And one of the other games, of course, we kind of don't need really to touch on the other ones. I mean, Aberdeen were quite comfortable in the end against Kilmarnock. They managed to go through. Hearts left it late, admittedly, but they got across the line against Morton, and Rangers barely got across the line against Hibs. Again, VAR was a big factor in that game, although it went for and against Rangers in that one as well. So, like I said, the consistency levels are fucked. That's the nicest way I can put it, to be quite straightforward. So, aye. But yeah, in terms of the semi-final draws, it wasn't an Old Firm draw, as much as I would have hoped for it. We got Aberdeen in the semi-finals, and of course Rangers got Hearts, so it's going to be an interesting one. Chances are it might be an Old Firm final, but we know Hearts can provide a surprise every now and then, and Celtic's consistency is being called into question quite constantly right now, so it's a case of that, I guess. Sorry, this video might be a little bit longer than the usual ones, but I've done my best to keep it as interesting as possible, so if you've still watched to this point, thank you for doing so. There's only a couple of extra things in terms of Celtic news. The main thing that I guess we're seeing right now is the Irish Origins drop, for those that haven't seen it. There you go. Very cool. There's some actual really nice designs, to be fair. The shirt is incredibly nice, so I guess we have that. But yeah, we probably want to fix the playstyle before we start fixing shirts or anything like that. I think that covers everything in the meantime until the game on the 15th, I believe, against St Johnstone, which you're more than welcome to join us for. It's either the 15th or the 16th. I'll have a little thing here so you can come and join us for that if you would like to. I'm usually live about 15 minutes before kick-off, so if you want to watch me lose my shit in real time, you're more than welcome to join us and do so. If you like this style of content as well, be sure to let me know different topics you want me to cover in Scottish football or whatever else. Honestly, I don't make videos very often, but if this is the sort of stuff that people like, then I'd be happy to make more of it. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and as always, I hope you have a brilliant rest of your day. I've been Caucasian. Have a nice one.